So you've got announcements, Joan.
Sure. I didn't eat anything this morning, so I could give announcements.
Okay.
Happy Mother's Day. Two things. First of all, I hope some of you will join me in Brigadoon on May 24th in Saratoga. It's a delightful theater performance with good singing. And the other thing I want to remind you about is June 22nd, which is a ways off, but keep that day available. We have a table. We'll be doing readings. I'll be doing Past Life. Marie and Janet will be doing healing, and Ruth will be doing
tarot.
So
and Lonnie's doing higher self readings.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
With a special deck of cards. With a special deck of cards.
And I was chosen to be a speaker. I improve your luck with meditation. So I'm very excited about the event, and I hope you'll mark it on your calendar and commit to coming and joining us for this event. June 22nd. Ruth, what's the time exactly?
The event is from 11 to 6.
Yeah, 11 to 6. So the afternoon of June 22nd.
And Joan's talk is at 2 p.m.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
It's going to be sort of the one I gave at church a couple of weeks ago.
Yes, but it'll be different.
But it'll be different. It'll be more extensive. And I'm so excited.
Great.
Wonderful, Joan.
Oh, that's wonderful. Anybody else have any announcements or anything they want to?
Happy Mother's Day. I love you.
Oh, thank you. Happy Mother's Day.
Well,
We have two,
I have an announcement.
three,
Yes.
three people here that aren't mothers, and I think you need to be thought very gloriously at choosing not to have.
Absolutely.
We need people to do that. So it's nice to have you here.
I think Mother's Day represents a celebration of the mothering energy,
That's right.
not necessarily the physical
The
mothering.
biological, right.
Yeah. So, and that's one of, as we grow in consciousness, that's one of the traits that we tend to nurture and develop, this mothering energy.
And if you have pets, I figure you're a
Yes.
cat mom or a dog mom or a bird mom or
That's
a
right.
rat mom or guinea pig mom, whatever.
Thank you.
Lizard mom,
Right.
snake mom.
You're a mom.
Anything.
You lost me with the snakes, okay?
I love it. I know a snake mom.
Oh, I lost you with
She
snakes,
has a
but not
wonderful
spiders.
ball
Okay,
python.
that's all right. All right. Okay, there we go.
Okay.
And I have an announcement.
Yeah.
Yay, Joyce is speaking. She's going to be
Joyce.
speaking on.
I like me.
I like you too.
Good.
So please join us. It's going to be incredibly exciting. I'm very
And
excited.
that's this coming Tuesday?
That's this coming Tuesday.
Great.
I can't believe we're already in the second week of May.
I know. What the hell?
What happened?
Okay.
Well, we
Alrighty.
just keep living.
Anybody else have any announcements or anything you want to share? Okay, Janet?
All right. Well, I just invite us to take a nice deep breath and just allow yourself to just relax wherever you are. Let your body sink in to the safety of where you are sitting. And just honor the fact that we are celebrating today mothering. And just close your eyes if that feels comfortable. And just allow yourself to journey inside your heart. And when have you had mothering? It may not have been from your biological mother. And when have you given mothering? When have you given mothering? And when have you opened your heart gender, has the capacity to mother. And as we are here together, let us feel that river of mothering that this community brings to the world every Sunday, and the moments of time where we can experience that gift of receiving mothering and of giving mothering. Know we are held in a wider energy, the energy of our Mother Earth. She is mothering. She cradles us, holds us, and allows us to make mistakes, as all good mothers do. Gently directing us, helping us to see and hear and know that we are one. On our planet, living together, bringing it home. So feel that mothering in your heart, in your body. Feel the protection that good mothering gives, that allows us in our childlike way to have just enough freedom to explore and to begin a new awareness of the world. And I'm going to invite you to do something right now while we are in this river of mothering love. To know that sometimes mothering isn't always sweet. Sometimes it can be intense. But it is always coming from that root of love. And if there has been situations of mothering in your life that have not been healing, that have not been helpful, I'm just going to invite you to release them now. We are building an energy, a strong force, a river of love and healing, and we have that capacity to release the hurtful mothering we may have sustained. Just let it go. Focus on your power as a mothering energy in our world. How you can bring it forth. How you can be present to it in yourself and into each other. How we can hold that energy. How we can be that energy. Strong and gentle, quiet and expressive. You are probably the best mother for yourself, because you know what it is you need. So bring it home, my friends. Bring that river of mothering home to us, to your heart, to your soul, to your body, to your life. And just allow yourself to feel and know that river is infinite and endless. And we build it, and we come with open hearts together in this circle. Oh, Mother,
wonderful. That was great song, great meditation. I mean, you were good this morning. You were great.
Must be all this energy. That's how it happens, my
Yes.
friends. It's all
I could feel Keith Smitty here, right here with us.
I do too.
Yeah, he always enjoyed your music so much.
Oh my gosh, I love
You know, I
Smitty.
used to sit next to him on
Yeah.
Full Circle, and he always
I
just
love
loved your music, and he's right here with us.
Oh, that's great.
Yay.
Yeah, he has been talking to me, but he tells me little stories.
Yeah.
And so that's the way I know it's him, because he's in little stories about growing up in Kansas, going to be in the service, just little stories. But it's nice to have somebody who passes away who keeps in touch. Yeah,
Or even if you're alive, you can do it.
yeah.
I went back to Mississippi, and so Dan is doing her thing, and there I was back in Mississippi. And I did not come in here with the intention to go back to Mississippi. However, but certain sounds and certain messages and feelings, I find will take me there.
Oh,
And it
wow.
happens pretty frequently, and I've been writing about it for a long time and all of that. But I was there, and the key to that was always my dad,
Yeah.
always. And so, and he had a wonderful singing voice. He didn't play anything, but the man could sing the blues.
Great.
Oh yeah, the Howlin' Wolf stuff and all of that. My dad was into it. It's a whole story about him. But I was there, and I just wanted to say thank you, because it's very relaxing for me, very comforting for me to feel that kind of loving energy.
Yeah, that's great. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Joyce, maybe on Father's Day, you could talk about your dad and singing the blues.
I could do that.
Yeah.
Great idea.
Okay.
Okay, we're going to talk about Mother's Day. It was created by a woman by the name of Anna Jarvis in the early 20th century. So just think, the first official Mother's Day was celebrated on May 10th, 1908.
Oh.
And what I thought was amazing about this was how far Mother's Day went. There are so many countries that have Mother's Day. A couple of countries even have the day off, Mother's Day. But it's all over the world now. And for it to happen that quickly, for not even 100 years yet, for us to be celebrating Mother's Day is amazing. And Anna held a memorial for her mother, Ann Reeves Jarvis, at a church in Grafton, West Virginia. She had been campaigning for such a holiday since 1905, when her mother passed away. Anna Jarvis's vision for Mother's Day was to honor the sacrifices. Mother's Day was to honor the sacrifices mothers make for their children. And when I think of the sacrifices that my mother made for us, it's just amazing. My mother was one of the nicest, most loving people on the planet, and married to a man who was not. And it was nice to have a mother who was always there for me. And I can remember one Mother's Day. It was a time. It was a year that we had now, where Mother's Day followed Easter, and so my mom had made me an Easter outfit, but it wasn't done. So she said, "Well, we'll give it to you for Mother's Day." And I thought, well, that's sweet. Here, I was just 16, and I'm getting a Mother's Day present, and it was a suit that she made for me, and it was baby blue, and it looked gorgeous. And I put it on, and I was so excited about it because we were on our way to church. We were still Catholics at that moment. And so my mom said, "Okay, hurry, Dottie, we got to get in the car." And it was her and my three siblings Bart, Sue, and Glenn, and they were going get in the car, and everybody was hurrying, and I went through the back of our house, and as I went through the back door, the screen door, there was a nail that stuck out a little bit. And as I went through, I caught that on the nail, and it went through, and I started bleeding on this beautiful new suit that my mother had made. And I said, "Mom, we can sew it up. We can put water on it. Mom, I want to wear it." And she said, "No, wear something else. That's it for for today. I can take care of it later." I just thought you were ready to be a grown woman, but you're still now a child. And she wasn't putting me down. She was just telling me I was still a child at 16. And I remember that every time Mother's Day comes around. I remember.
You never told me that story.
the suit story, and how it was exciting to be with my mother always. And she was just one of these people that loved you no matter what. She loved my brother. He came home from Switzerland one year and mentioned to her that he was gay. And this was a long time ago. And for anyone being gay was just absolutely somebody that you ignored, you put down. And my mom says, "Honey, that's wonderful. Who is it with?"
That's amazing.
She was just very much there for him.
Talk about amazing grace.
Well, you didn't tell him about when they were unloading the car and he had the 2x4 and he threw it out and she was just walking by and it on her broke her nose.
Broke her nose.
And he was talking about being gay.
Yeah. And she said, "My God, Bart, he broke my nose." And he said, "Come on, let's go to the doctor." And she went, "No." And she went, and put it back together. And we all said, "You've got to go see the doctor." And she said, "No, it's fine. I said it." Her pain level was so high. She was the most wonderful mom, and in telling you about pain, she'd say, "Just don't look at it. Just don't answer its call. Just ignore it. It'll go away." And she did that all of her life until the last 3 years of her life. She had problems with her knees. So I'm just like, "Oh, Mom."
So it's Mom's fault.
It's Mom's fault, right?
Your knee problem is Mom's. Got it.
But when her mom passed away, Anna Jarvis's vision for Mother's Day was to honor the sacrifices mothers make for their children. And I hadn't realized that she thought of all of the sacrifices mothers make for their kids, that they should be honored for it. And so when you think about that, hey, I like that. To be honored for doing something that, for me, came so easily. The idea gained popularity through the support of various groups and individuals, including the church and retailers who saw commercial potential in the holiday. In 1914, President Woodrow Wilson signed a proclamation designated the second Sunday in May as Mother's Day, which has been celebrated annually since then. Today, Mother's Day is widely popular across the globe, and I mentioned that. Some of the common activities that families in the United States engage in for Mother's Day. Typically, the children give their mothers gifts such as cards, flowers, and chocolates, and families often gather for a special meal or brunch. It is also common to treat mothers to spa days, jewelry, or other thoughtful gestures. And I thought, that is great, but it doesn't say what other things that kids do for their mother for Mother's Day. And there's so many things. Sometimes For my mother, I would drive over to Watsonville to wish her happy Mother's Day. But sometimes my kids were coming to see me. So that was kind of a decision I had to make. They driven up from LA area to see me. I'd better stay here. Or I'd say, let's go see my mom. And they'd say, oh, let's go see Grandma. So it has been an interesting life of having such a wonderful woman in my life. And do any of you remember my mom, Corky?
Yeah, of course.
And what do you remember about her?
Oh, that she was funny, and she always kind of knew what was going on. I mean, as far as, like, I don't know if she listened to new music, but she seemed to know, who was who, and all that. And, very, very stayed up with the trends, and always fashionable.
Yeah.
And she walked, her mile or 2 miles or 150 miles or however, on the beach every day. And she just loved her kids, and she basically, I mean, when she didn't like somebody, then, she had the side of her that did that. And you wouldn't want to be an enemy of hers, as far as I'm concerned. But everybody, everybody else, she was just so generous and kind. She would just, make quillos and stuff, and always making baby quilts and stuff for, things to share.
Yeah. She was
And
really
good.
And we called her Wow.
Oh yeah. She went on a trip with us when several trips, and she's great to travel with. But anyway, and so we had made her badge say Mom, and so she turned it upside down so it said Wow.
Fantastic.
It was very, very fun. And I miss her, and today's the day that you think about your mom. So in a little bit I'm going to have every one of you tell us something about your mom, so you have to keep that in your mind. In the United Kingdom, Mother's Day is known as Mothering Sunday, traditionally celebrated on the fourth Sunday of Lent. So that puts that in a completely different time of the year. In Mexico, Mother's Day is celebrated on May 10th, with children often serenading their mothers with a traditional song, Las Mañanitas. In India, although not a public holiday, Mother's Day is celebrated in many regions. In Japan, they celebrate Mother's Day with the tradition of giving carnations, as they symbolize the purity and endurance of a mother's love. In France, Mother's Day, known as Fête des Mères, it is celebrated on the last Sunday in May. Their flower choice is roses. In Spain, they celebrate on the first Sunday in May. While the specific activities may vary by country, the core idea of honoring and appreciating mothers remains consistent. The popularity of Mother's Day has grown over the years, with many countries adopting the holiday and creating their own unique traditions around it. And I love that fact that people have taken Mother's Day and not looked at it as an American holiday, but something to celebrate Mother. And those are just some of the countries that I read about, and to mention how they celebrate Mother's Day. It's just a different attitude in a different way, but to keep Mother's Day gathering peaceful, fun, and praising Mother, there's many steps that you can take. There's many things you can do. You can plan ahead, discuss with family members what to do. You can include everyone you know. You can include your neighbors and everything, because they all either have had a mother or are a mother. And so think about what you can do for Mother's Day. Set clear expectations, communicate with all participants about what is expected of them. This includes the time, the place, what to bring, any special activities or rituals will be part of the gathering. there's so much things that I could read about what they say you could do to take care of Mother for Mother's Day. But it's so different with each family. Each family has a different attitude of what to do about Mother's Day. But my son Bob got a hold of Corky and said, "Oops, did Mom get my card yet?" She said no. And so when I said, "Hey, I didn't get him a card from Bob," and Corky said, "Oh, he sent it already. It's on its way." So I know I've got something coming in from him. My other son lives in Virginia, and he doesn't honor me in any way, except just in the middle of the month. For no reason, he calls.
Wow.
So, he calls me at least once a month, but it's never for Christmas or my birthday, or he just calls. I think he's gotten himself in trouble with his wife. He calls his mom to make sure that he's okay with me. But it's interesting the reason people call on Mother's Day. And so because of that, I'd like to start out with asking our wonderful Dr. Janet if she could say something about her mother.
Well, my mother was just my hero. She was an amazing woman. She was in World War II. She was a commander in the Coast Guard that protected our West Coast. She was amazing. She was a communications officer and a commander. She knew how to fly a plane. She was a pilot. She learned that on the military sign, right? And she was just an amazing person. She was an incredible artist. She was studying to be a pianist, and she said, "I don't want to be married to the piano." But she was very, very skilled classical pianist.
Wow.
And what she gave me was the gift of unconditional love, but also the gift of go ahead and try. So she let me try, she let me make mistakes, but then she'd be there to pick me up afterwards.
Great.
So, I mean, she was just an amazing person to so many people, but not like the typical, quiet, demure mother. She was a mother.
That was
right?
mine too.
My mother was an Aries. She was, very much of an Aries.
Ah, the stereotypical Aries.
Yeah.
She's why it exists.
Joan, tell us something about your mom.
Well, my mom was a tough taskmaster, and we lived on half an acre with cows and chickens and a vegetable garden, and there was work to be done. And as far as she was concerned, the hugging and loving was inconsequential. Get your work done. One of our favorite stories was my brother forgot to put the water for the chickens, and so one of the chickens fell into the cow trough and drowned. And my mother picked that chicken up and ran around the yard beating my brother up.
Oh, right.
My brother and I, when we used to reminisce, would say, we'd talk about how tough growing up like in a rural area is, and so many tasks to do. And we'd say, once we got away from Mom, life was pretty easy.
Yep.
But she was steady. I'll have to say she was steady, and I guess that's the one trait I got from her, because I've been pretty steady in life.
Good. Yeah. Okay, Joyce.
Well, my mother was a lot like yours. However, later on in life, I called her King for a reason, and that's the important part to share. Louise King Brown was once my father in another lifetime, and I came in this lifetime to be with her again, as a her this time, as a soul, as opposed to a him. And she was really tough on me. I had a very difficult life with her, but I loved her, and I was there for my mother. You know, whether it was housework or remembering her birthdays and anniversaries and Christmases, whatever it was, I was always there for her. The feeling that I had of love never changed, you see. And so it was one of those, it had two sides to it. She could receive, but she could not give. And so I gave, but I had no expectancies that I would receive. But so that was kind of like how the relationship went. So I was there for the home, for this and the cooking, you name it, everything I was there for. And I've never had any regrets about it, you see. And that's the thing that helped me to survive it all. I did not look and say, why are you not doing this for me when I could see what she was doing for my siblings? I knew why I was doing what I was. And so that made a difference in how I felt.
Good.
Yeah, it wasn't easy, but I still feel that way. It hasn't changed since when I came into that feeling, and I was around 12 years old. And I'm 75 now. And so that's still there.
Well, good.
Yeah, it's still there.
Great. Well,
Yeah.
thank you. Thank you for sharing. Patty?
Well, I think what stands out for me in my mom is that she was an artist. And she knew that she wanted to be an artist from a child on. You know, instead of in school listening to the teachers, she'd be staring out the window, and she said she'd be, you know, measuring things and trying to put them down on paper. And she was going to go to Paris and study. And then the war broke out, World War II broke out, and that really just dramatically changed the course of her life. And she got married and had kids, and back then, at least for her in that generation, she felt that's what she had to do, and she let go of her art completely. And you know, and it was kind of a difficult, you know, it was a difficult family situation. It was post-war. My dad had his traumas, and you know, he was in the Navy, and his ship went down. So all this stuff that didn't get addressed at the time. And so where we got, you know, they eventually split after we got out of high school, and where we really came to a really great place was I was more mature, and she was able to get into her art, because when they divorced, she immersed herself in her art, and she's good. She was really, really good. I've got tons of her work at the house. And so that really always stood out in my mind. It's like, wow, the message was to follow your path.
Yes.
You know, because that she became her true self in that. That's when she was the happiest. And so that's what I remember most on Mother's Day from my mom, is her beautiful artwork, and you know, and she missed a lot of opportunities. We talked about that earlier, the sacrifices. I mean, she really gave up a lot to raise us, and you know, they did the very best that they could, and we had a good life in that way. But I've always honored her and loved that she did what she did with her artwork.
Oh, great. Well, thank you.
Yeah.
Okay, Lauren.
Well, when I think of Mom, I think of her always being so grounded and teaching me that accountability, and also a lot financially, which makes me think of you, Joan. So Mom always would be like, okay, do what you want, but you have to have a plan for it. So, you know, even came up with an early Mother's Day brunch this week when she drove me, and we were talking about college and career. She's like, well, you don't have, you know, 6 figures of debt. You're welcome. So if I had gone where I wanted to go, I would have had way just insurmountable student debt. But she helped guide me on the right path to get the same degree and get into my career.
Oh, great.
Cool.
Good.
A handy mom.
Yeah. Yes, Ruth, how about you?
So what I got the most from my mom is music, because my mom is a musician, and she could have been a professional opera singer.
Oh, wow.
But she didn't become one because she unfortunately married my dad. Mistakes were made.
Yeah, there's a lot of us that can say that about our dads, right?
Anyway.
Except her.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
Joyce had a great dad.
I did.
Can I have that one?
Well, you know, he's a fun guy, so.
Crazies.
Tap
No,
in.
no training to do. No one deserves this.
No.
Anyway, but she taught me how to sing, and she did also, she taught, my siblings how to sing. I'm the third out of 8 children, and whenever we had a question about music or anything else, she would typically make time for that, which was a good thing. But I also want to mention that two things that are less fun, but one is sometimes even though your mom tries their best, they're still not the kind of mom you really needed to be when you were a kid, because my mom was totally doing her best. And I have found that for me, part of my healing path was to because in some ways that she can't quite get all the way there for what I need as my inner child needs. And that's her thing, right? That's her healing path that she's on. But that gets crosswired because she's my mom, so it's interconnected. But I found that Mother God and Father God, but we're talking about mothers, I will often, when I'm hurting, I remember them, and I'm like, okay, that's my real mom, that's my real dad. And we're talking about deity, but it's like, that's, they're not going to, they're going to give me what I need that my mother couldn't give me, right? Is more what I'm saying. And I also want to mention, so if that helps for me, so I don't know if that helps anybody else, but also, don't give your mom anything out of guilt. Don't do it out of guilt. My sibling, one year, I spaced and I forgot about Mother's Day. I'm like, oh snap. And I'm in high school, and my older sister particularly was like, what the F, Ruth? And so I gave my mom an art piece I had done in high school, and while she loved it and everything, but in the course of a move and where it ended up being stored, a few years later, and ended up being destroyed. And I always felt a bit guilty, kind of missed the painting, because it was my favorite thing I'd ever done. But it's the only thing I had last minute that I could give her, so I gave it to her out of gift. Dude, I should have just gone into gift debt. Gift debt is okay. Right? So you can honor all the good things that your mother does, but don't do anything out of guilt, and it's okay to still hurt. And
Well, see, if you don't do things out of guilt, do you ever get anything done?
all right, Corky, where I'm gonna slap you right after church.
After church.
It should not be on the camera.
Are you going to share? Because I would like to say one more thing about my mother, Louise.
Oh, sure.
That everything that she could not do for me, she could do for everyone else. So it wasn't just her altogether. In the community we lived in, we're farmers. She became a certified cook for Clarksdale, Mississippi. The woman was magnificent in the kitchen, and all of that. But whatever we did not have, she could share with the other children and other peoples in the community, but not with me.
Oh my
And
goodness.
so that was it. I wanted to clarify that, because she wasn't just all together, just hardcore and not a very pleasant person. She was actually very fabulous in many ways, incredible. But it was between us and not the other 9 siblings I had, just me. And so, and I could see it, but not experience it. But then again, I'll tell you about my daddy.
Father's Day.
I promise.
Okay.
Okay, Corky, how about you, Mom?
My mom. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. Well, I was raised by my grandmother, and she was just really nice. You know, but and so I had, you know, a Pop was a cop, and who I thought was my mother, my grandmother, but her name was Charlene, my name's Charlene. And so she had injured her hip when, I don't know whether I was even born yet. And so she always had a bad hip. I can remember one summer in Bakersfield, she spent the whole summer in a full body cast. Wow!
Whoa.
Yeah, she was pretty miserable. But pleasant. Yeah, as pleasant as you can be under those circumstances. And the worst part about that summer was that my sister, who I thought was my sister, but ended up being my mom, you know, she was there to take care of her mother, and you know, sometimes I would just act out, and she would want to spank me, and then she'd be afraid that she would kill me if she started spanking me. And she goes, "I'm not going to do it. I'll just kill you." You know, and my mother, like I said, was an Aries, and she was very, even though she was on the cusp of Pisces, she was like full-blooded Aries, and she felt like you had to have an argument at least once a month in order to get your blood moving, and that was healthy. And it's like, you know, and I'm a Cancer, and I just kind of would like get in my little crab shell and just back up and say, yeah, if that works for you, that's fine. But you know, I mean, of course I wouldn't say anything, but I would think, you know, that's fine for you. But why do I have to participate? I don't like disruption. I don't like arguing. I don't like people being mean to each other. And you know, that's just not what I want to do or be. And so,
Yeah.
But,
and she didn't like, and she goes, you know, well, defend yourself. You know, she wanted me to defend myself. Darn it. And it's like, you know, you have your belief. I have my belief. They are not, you know, they don't match, and I don't want to argue with you about it. So.
well, but you were 16 before you found out that your mother was your sister.
Yeah, when I was a junior in high school. Or a freshman, junior, yeah. She died the day, my grandmother died the day before school started when I was a junior in high school. And so, and then she, you know, so my mom came up and she said, well, I'm your mother.
Whoa.
And it's like, okay. So what does it make that other one?
Yeah.
But of course that would cause an argument, so I wouldn't, you know, so much I didn't say because I knew that it would cause an argument. You know, when Mars is there, Mars is just...
How old was your mother when you were born?
to 18.
18, so she was young, but not too
And so her mother, and she left my father right away because that was in Ohio. Ohio, Iowa, and she said she didn't like living in Iowa. So as soon as I was born, she had, you know, like her suitcase under one arm and me under the other arm, and she loaded up all of us onto the train, you know, her suitcase, me and her, and went back to California, and then very happily was in California. And I guess they got divorced because she did marry several people after that, and so it was. So my grandmother said, well, I'll take care of her while you're getting set up and stuff. And then when my mom said, okay, I'm here to take her back, and it's like, no, you can't, I depend on her too much. You know, she had her red leg and she had her this and that and this. By then my brother, uncle, I thought it was my brother, but he ended up being my uncle. You know, he had some kids, and his wife had been killed in a car accident, and the baby was only like a month old, and so my grandmother and I took care of little Joey, and my grandmother liked kids, and so, you know, she would...
What astrology sign was your grandmother?
She was June, so that would be...
She can't.
Yeah, she was
Which end of June?
Yay.
the middle of June. It was near the end. No, so it wasn't Cancer, it was Gemini.
Gemini.
Okay, so, alright.
Yeah.
So that, yeah. So anyway, so then,
So she knew how to talk.
well, she was a businesswoman when she went to beauty school and became like one of the she had a beauty shop in Ventura or Oxnard, and she was the first person to have neon signs in
Oh, yeah.
Nice.
of all the cities. She was the first business to have a neon sign, and
Nice.
she'd been raised in Texas, and this is my grandmother, and my mother was born in L.A. So she must have been a monster to because she was always sneaking out, going to meet with boys and smoke cigarettes and that's that also, anyway, and from the Music Man where you do that. Anyway, it's like her brother was 5 years old. She wanted to have a birthday party and when she was 5, and instead she had a brother. So she was pissed. She went out and ate tar. Anyway,
Did you eventually make friends with your mother?
Yeah.
Eventually I made friends with my mother, and the last 6 years of her life she lived up here, and we had wonderful adventures. But
well, I'm a very forgiving kind of person, so it's like I took care of, well, I didn't take care of her because she lived in San Francisco and I lived here, but I would go up and shop for her and stuff, and I very much, people are people and they do what they do, and there's no reason not to love them unless they really say they don't want to be loved by you, and then that changes things. But as long as we had a mother-daughter relationship.
Thank you so much, Barky.
Anyway, she was her social personality was great. People loved her. Men were very attached to her. Because she was very.
Well, she was married, 5 or 6 times?
5 times.
5 times.
And the last time for 20 years, so you know that. Whether they died, they just keep dying.
That's not sus.
Yeah, my last stepfather said, "What did the other guys die of?" Just living with my mother. I don't know.
Okay.
So who out there wants to share, right?
Who would like to share a story about your mother? Annie.
Okay, Annie. Let me get you. Okay.
I would. There's my mom right there.
Gallery.
There on the screen.
Pin. Add pin.
Are you ready?
No. Wait a minute. I have us, not you. Okay. Remove pin. Just a minute. We'll give you extra time. Remove pin. There.
We can all see Annie.
We can all see Annie.
Okay, Annie.
Just let her
Okay.
know.
Okay. Yeah, and you can see my mom back there. Well, I'm in the gallery, but I don't know about you.
Yeah, we can see you.
Add pin. There you go. Yay! Woo, thank you, Annie.
You're welcome. So my mom was a young mom. She was widowed very early. So she had a 5-year-old and a 6-year-old, me and my brother, when our father passed away. And then she got married when I was 6 and remarried again to her second husband, who was the father of my sister and brother that live here in Eugene with me, or near me. And he was a very interesting person. Every once in a while, we kids discuss that we believe that she might have been a bit bipolar, because she could be really amazing and she could be really terrible, like within seconds. And so much, there was a lot of anger. And I was a rebel when I was a kid, so I guess I can blame myself somewhat. But I was so much of a rebel that she and I would fight tooth and nail. But yet, I was the one she would come to for advice. I was the one that she would talk to, like, I think I have a ghost in my house. Please come feel it, and see if there's something there. I was the one, for all of that. But I think, some of the things that I remember are people used to tell us that we look alike. So I don't know if you think that, but people used to tell us that we look alike, and we were both in denial of it. So one day we decided we were we were going to go to Sears and buy we were going to agree on an outfit and buy matching outfits. And we would get a photo taken together. So we both go into Sears and we're both going through the clothes racks. And I pull up something and go, "Isn't this cute?" She pulls up something and goes, "Isn't this cute?" And it's like the same thing. So we were nothing alike. My mom was amazing when my brother came out as gay. She became a founder of the Eugene, Oregon PFLAG. She has always been there for other people. She was a musician. She sang. She played old-timey music. She played a lot of folk music. So she got me involved with going to a lot of things with folk music, and I met a lot of friends that way. There's a lot of things about my mom that I didn't realize until I wrote her memorial, till I wrote, or when she passed away. This picture that's behind me was taken on her 80th birthday. And we ended up, there were times that we could be best friends. We would go out together in the middle of the night and go driving through Topanga Canyon. And she'd do dumb things like pick up hitchhikers, and I'd go, "Mom, what are you doing?" And she actually brought one guy home who lived with us for about 3 months for my warning, got to get rid of Ben because he's going to hurt us. He ripped us off and he split. And so she started to listen to me a little bit more. But anyway, I loved her, and by the time she passed away, we had become very good friends, and I'm very grateful for my mom in my life and all the wonderful things that she did.
Thank you.
Thank
That's
you.
wonderful.
Thank
Okay, Songbird.
Yeah, Songbird.
Songbird?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
One of the things, it's like there's this cultural image of what women are, and it's never been what my mom is or the women I value in my lives. And so I appreciate a kind of a forum where we can speak, and create our own understandings of who we are. My mom, she was very adventurous, and she did what she wanted with her life. Like, she wanted to get paid the same thing as a man, so she was an intelligence officer in the reading room of the Pentagon in the 1950s.
Wow.
And yeah. And then when she had kids and she was very practical, she became a school teacher and taught 3rd and 4th grade. So she used those summers to take us camping all over the United States in this little Volkswagen, hauling a little trailer that popped up into a tent. She had a gun in there. I remember one time they came and through our camp and stole all of our camping equipment. But she didn't, get out and shoot them or run them off or anything. We just replaced it the next day and went on with our camping trip. One of my favorite stories is I was bringing her out here to care for her, and I'm at the airport, and I'm like, I had to get some gold coins out of her, bank box, and I had them on me, and I was trying to get through the security checks, and she has her friggin' pocket knife on her, and I forgot about all this security stuff, and so I didn't have time to take her back through security and do all that stuff again, and so she lost her abalone pocket knife. But she always carried a pocket knife. She wrapped presents with her pocket knife. She did everything with a pocket knife. She was like a tomboy. She roofed the house with us when we were kids, because we didn't have a lot of money. She was a school teacher at that point. So she was just like, just super self-made. That's all I can say. We went camping, canoeing. She was very adventurous. She didn't fear anything. And what I noticed in her old age is her kindness, and she's very graceful with everybody. She has like a really good attitude. And I also tested about her, recently with some of the helpers in my spiritual practice. And one of the things that was a gift she had no prejudice. And like, she worked at a black school during desegregation. And that was just all part of my family. She knew how to accept everybody. And so I've never had any of those kind of barriers that I guess other people have, But she just was very even-handed. So kind of interesting mom, but she wasn't the nurturing type. She wasn't the cuddle you up, kiss you, love you. So I had that was the part she didn't have, and I had to learn that later growing up because she was so tough. So, yeah.
Okay, thank
Well,
you
sounds
so
like a
much.
great person to learn things from.
Yeah, anybody else? Well, thank you so much for sharing stories about your mother. That is wonderful. And so many people are hesitant to express for their mother and how they feel about their mother or how they felt about their mother. But it's okay to be honest about how you feel about your mother. And it's wonderful to take this opportunity to share it.